as painful as it is for a former Trojan to bring up Notre Dame, how did you end up at Notre Dame?
Well, it was something I've always looked back on with great pride. You know, I loved being at Notre Dame when I was there and had the opportunity to. I think each and every one of us who've had the opportunity to go to Notre Dame and graduate feel proud of that accomplishment. And I was no different. You know, I was from a small school here in Louisville, Kentucky, and when I first heard from Coach Leahy, I was thrilled to no end because I was invited up to make a visit, and I did. And my goodness, I had the opportunity to meet John Lujack and all the other, you know, kids who were there at Notre Dame early on. And my 4 years at Notre Dame were some of the 4 best times of my life. So I enjoyed going to school there, and I was very proud of it.
Did you play for Coach Leahy?
No, I didn't. Got there, he retired. I got there in 1952. Graduated in 56. And but when I got there, he was in his last year.
What a legend he was.
He was something.
So did you know the history of Notre Dame before you went there?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I did some homework, you know, when they were recruiting me. You know, recruitment, of course, even in those days was 3 or 4 months, you know. We never made a decision. The players usually in high school never made a decision till after about 2 or 3 months being recruited. And I was no different. I did the same thing because I wanted to go to Purdue and I wanted to go to Indiana and Kentucky. Bear Bryant was almost living at my house here in the West End of Louisville. If I was there and my mom was there, he was there having coffee almost every night. So I really wanted to go to Kentucky. And I asked him one thing. I said, would you ask Coach Rupp, Adolph Rupp, if I can come out and try out for the basketball team? So he got that done for me. So I was on my way. You know, I really thought I was going to the University of Kentucky. Coach Bryant had me a job lined up, you know, with the car company up in Lexington. So I would have, you know, had a job while I was starting off there, and I would have a little money to put in my pocket.
What made you go to Notre Dame as opposed to playing for Bear Bryant?
Well, I guess just Notre Dame in itself. I never knew anybody there except Ralph Guglielmi. Ralph Guglielmi was the quarterback before me, and we became instant friends, especially when I started school there. And but I had a friend of mine from high school, Cheryl Sipes, who also got a scholarship, you know, to Notre Dame at the time. So we went together. So it was kind of, you know, an affair that fit right down my alley because Cheryl and I were such good friends. And he was a halfback, but he never made it. He got hurt when he was a sophomore. He got hurt when he was a junior. So he didn't really get to play much when he was a senior. But I always felt that he would have been a great football player at Notre Dame, and because he had great speed. He won the Kentucky 100 in the 220 his last 2 years in high school. So he was running like 9.98, which was unheard of at that. So he was very quick and very talented. He was a great basketball player too. And that's one of the things that was important to me, to be able to go out for basketball. And frankly, he said, you know, we'll arrange that. Johnny Jordan was the coach there at Notre Dame, and when I got to be a junior, he let me come out for basketball. So I played basketball at Notre Dame my last 2 years. And in fact, I was very proud of the fact that Abe Saperstein called me from the Globetrotters as a senior. He said, Paul, would you like to play against the Globetrotters? I said, sure. Are you kidding? I love to play against them. been watching you guys down in Louisville all my life, even when I was younger, before I was college age. So, I mean, here I was a senior in high school making about $2,500 a game with the Globetrotters. I was the richest kid on the campus. It really it helped my family out to have that extra money. But I mean, you can imagine. You think back today, $2,500. Goodness, that's huge. but the Globetrotters drew full houses wherever they were, even in those days.
Back to your time at Notre Dame, the one thing that is so special about college football is the pageantry, the traditions. How special is that environment in South Bend?
Well, it was unbelievable. I mean, here Johnny Lujak, for heaven's sakes, was on the coaching staff there at the time. And, I got to meet Johnny Lujak. I mean, that was a great thrill for me. I got pictures to this day hanging up right here in the office, of some of my affiliations with the university. But I really had 4 beautiful years there. We weren't too good. By the time I was a senior, we didn't have too many kids playing who had any experience. And we suffered through a 2-8 season, my senior year at Notre Dame. And, of course, that's not too happy a year up there for those guys when you're 2-8.
Do you go back for games at Notre Dame now?
Yes. I'm going back next month. I'm going back up for a signing at a golf tournament. So I'll go back and sign autographs for the afternoon and hang around South Bend. I've already arranged where I used to have dinner at a great restaurant downtown South Bend. Arrange a few good things like that.
Do you want to mention the name of the restaurant and give them a shout out?
No, I don't remember it. But I got a friend of mine working on it.
That's what's so great about Notre Dame is that alumni base. And here you are so many years removed from being an icon there that you still are involved in Notre Dame and these golf tournaments.
Right. Well, it seems as if every 2 or 3 years they call me and want me to come back up at the sports shop up there on campus. Under Armour does a lot of business up there, and I work a little bit with Under Armour all over the country, so it works out pretty well for me.
The other thing that's so special about Notre Dame and USC is that rivalry.
It really is.
Did you already know about that rivalry before you went to Notre Dame?
Oh, yes, yeah. John Arnett and I were great friends. Graduated the same year. We played in the All-Star game in Chicago together. And John Brody was a senior. Of course, he was from Stanford. And Arnett was, of course, from Southern Cal. And but we were on the All-Star team together, and I became good friends with John.
Look, I got to interject on that All-Star game, and I have the picture at home, and my mom's kept it all these years. Holy mackerel, what a team. My father was on that team, but also Parker, who played for the Colts, Jim Brown, Jerry Tubbs, Tommy McDonald. It's a who's who of NFL legends. Unbelievable talent on that All-Star team. So the rivalry against USC, walking down that Coliseum tunnel, can you describe the feeling?
No, because they kicked our ass. So I wasn't too happy, when I was walking out of that stadium in my senior year. But anyway, Arnett has never let me forget that. He brings it up all the time when we're in the same spot. But I mean, I loved Los Angeles. It was a great thing for me when I was a senior. Seemed like I spent a lot of time out there my first couple of years in pro football. I did a lot of entertaining out there, and I did a lot of appearances. So I really enjoyed LA, and I was, offered a couple movie contracts. So I was in touch with Hollywood, and I thought I was going to make a move there, but it never materialized.
How close did it get?
It got real close. I was asked to do a couple of movies, but I couldn't get away from school to do it. At the time I was a senior, and I couldn't get that free time to spend, like 10 days on somewhere doing a movie. I was invited to do one or two out there. But John Wayne was so big in those days, and I got the opportunity to meet him at a rehearsal or some kind of thing with the movie company, and he said, you come to L.A. and Hollywood here, I'll take care of you. You just make sure you call me. Well, that was pretty strong coming from a guy that big, To have John Wayne going to really try to help you out a little bit. I was looking forward to that. But nothing ever really materialized after the 6 months period was over and I had graduated. And I went on to figure out I was going to, be a professional football player.
I got to tease you a little bit. You're hanging out with all these Trojans. Why didn't you go to SC?
No, I never had a scholarship to SC. Nobody knew about me out there when I was a senior in high school. Although I was I had a lot of publicity around the state of Kentucky, because I was all-state in football and basketball. And so there weren't too many kids in those days that made all-state, and I wanted to go to Kentucky. And because Bear Bryant was the coach there, and he was in my house about every weekend having coffee, trying to get me to go to Kentucky, and he had lined up a job for me, and he had lined up he just lined up everything, and he went to Coach Rupp and said, "Can we let Hornung come out for basketball?" He said, "Absolutely right. He's a good basketball player." So here I was going to have the opportunity to try out for the basketball team also. That's why I wanted to go to Kentucky.
It's hard to think that Bear Bryant wasn't able to get you. You were one that got.
I know, it really was. Yeah. He always said that was unbelievable. When he'd come back, he'd call me every year when the Derby was on. He always brought some people back, and I gave him a few winners that first year. So he never forgot that. He'd always call for tips. He said, "You got anything?" But he was a beauty. I mean, he was, and I became a very good friend of his, and I was very honored to be in that position. I've always felt he was one of the greats of all time, and what a great coach he was.
The other thing I just wanted to go back on that you mentioned was John Arnett. USC fans know that the Jaguar was unbelievable and had a heck of an NFL career. So I just wanted to reference that. So let's talk about your senior year at Notre Dame. And for the fans out there, Mr. Hornung, you're part of a trivia question, being the only Heisman Trophy winner to play for a losing team.
2-8.
Yeah,
it really was.
Yeah.
That's why it was unbelievable. When I found out I won the Heisman Trophy, I didn't think I was going to win the thing, because, figuring coming off a 2-8 football team. But I was high in the voting my junior year, too, so I think that's what really helped, And I had great competition in those days. We had Arnett and then John Brody from Stanford. I think those were the two West Coasters that were high in the voting in the Heisman. So it was a special thing. I had those good friends out on the West Coast, and whenever I had the opportunity to go out there, I'd look them up, and we'd get together and have a few laughs.